Have you ever felt like the whole world is against you? Maybe your kids don't respect you. You spilled coffee on your shirt on your way out the door for work this morning. Maybe the boss doesn't respect you. Friends don't return your phone calls or messages. Now, what if you could stop? What if you could stop this suffering in an instant? How would that change your life? That's what I want to know. Take a moment to reflect about that. Well, I have good news. You don't need to wait for someone else to release you from that feeling of being trapped. And are you ready to go from feeling like you have no control over your life to having full control over your life so that you can experience abundance and happiness and joy? Well, your first step, if that sounds like you, your first step is to tune into today's show. I want to welcome you to episode 33 of the Coffee and Confidence Show, How to Step into Your Personal Power. My name is Kelly Kerrigan. I am an assertiveness coach and my business is Empower Me Coaching. I am helping people pleasers and sensitive souls and heart-centered people confidently communicate with others to build that connection they so desire. And I have an amazing guest for you today as she shares her knowledge. Without further ado, Cara Dawn Miller. She's a personal friend of mine. She's an energy healer, and her business is Inner Flow Energy Healing. So welcome, Cara Dawn. Thank you so much for being here. Please share a little bit more about yourself.
Hi, Kelly. Thanks for having me on the show. And I am an energy healer. And a year ago, this past January, I stepped full force into spreading my message that I feel so passionate and strongly about, is helping clients and people feel really unstuck from their problems, to really uncover what is those patterns, what are those blockages that's going on inside the body. A lot of the times we really can't make sense of it, and we just feel that frustration or that stuckness in life. And I am here to help and spread the message that we can uncover those blockages and we can have a life of freedom and calmness and health. It's really amazing. So I'm really excited for our conversation today. And yeah, good morning to everyone.
Yeah, good morning. I have a question though. What drew you to this line of work?
Oh, wow. Well, it was really my own emotional struggles that I was struggling with deep inside of myself. I felt a real sense of overwhelm and stress and loss. Lost feeling, just being lost in life and not making sense of how emotionally sensitive I found myself to be. And on that journey, I had some, health issues, very digestively sick. And so I really knew deep inside of myself that there was another way, that I didn't want to live with these feelings in my physical body, and that I was really too young. I felt really too young to feel such discomfort. And so I really wanted to find a natural way, an answer to my questions. And so I just kept looking and looking. And when I found energy healing, it really changed my life. And so it just continued from there, wanting to learn more and uncover more and discover more of what was held inside of myself that was causing me to have these problems, physical and emotional, and being stressed. And so it was really a deep knowing inside of myself that this was not the way I had to live the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, thank you so much for sharing that. And I look forward to our conversation as well. Now, it is time, because it is the Coffee and Confidence Show, it is time for What is in Your Cup. And I decided to retire my old drawing, so I'm going to work on something new for the whole piece of what is in your cup. Do you want to share what's in your cup first, Cara Dawn?
Absolutely. In my cup this morning, I have some green tea, honey. And my cup is from Labrador, or Newfoundland and Labrador. And so about 4 years ago, my family and I, my immediate family, my husband and our 2 kids, moved to St. John's, Newfoundland for 2.5 years for my husband's work. And actually, I ended up doing engineering work as well there for 2.5 years. And so we had an amazing time, and this is one of 2 cups that we brought home with us to remember our time there. And Kelly, I know you're originally from Newfoundland, and so there's a huge space in our heart for that province. So yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. So this morning I have my I guess one of my famous mugs, the Mary Poppins mug. Anyways, I was listening to some Disney music yesterday, and the new Mary Poppins soundtrack was on there. And so when I opened my cover this morning, I was inspired to pull the Mary Poppins mug. Now, honestly, in my cup this morning, I do have coffee. However, it's a big cup of disappointment. Because I love cream in my coffee, and there's no cream today. So, and it was like, today is one of those mornings I'm just like, okay, I'm getting ready, I'm doing my thing, and I'm like, oh, I just can't wait to have my coffee. Like, just, oh, it's going to start my day. And I was just like, oh, I was disappointed. So I'm like, well, this is the Coffee and Confidence show. I'm like, I need to be confident for the show. So here's my bit of confidence. I am confident that when we are done the Coffee and Confidence show, I'm going to Starbucks and getting an Americano.
That sounds really good.
So I am confident people will see me there after the show. Oh, that's fun.
I can relate. I like some cream in my coffee sometimes too. It just tastes so delicious.
But yeah, and there's some mornings I'm like, I could probably take or leave coffee. But this morning I was just like, oh, just, I don't know, just that feeling this morning. And anyways, it's kind of fun, kind of funny. So I want to remind you viewers that this is a live show. Please say hello. Please say good morning. Let us know where you're tuning in from. And of course, what is in your cup? What is it you like to drink in the morning? What's your morning routine? Anything you want to share. And I do want to remind you, it is a live show. So please, ask questions, share your experience, and share your comments and your thoughts with us. And if you're catching the replay, just type #replay down in the comments, and we will connect with you, whenever you share with us.
Mm-hmm.
So Cara Dawn, today's show is called, Stepping into Your Personal Power. So I want to ask you, what does that mean, personal power?
Well, really, Kelly, it really means acting and living your life for yourself. It really means that. It really means, what is it that you like as a person? Really, what is inside of yourself without influence from others, without that influence or that thinking mind saying, oh, I wonder what this person might think, or, oh, I wonder if I do that, what's going to happen? How is that person going to, respond to me or react to me or think of me? So it's really to detach ourselves from, from societal beliefs or what you think others might be thinking of yourself if you act in this way or do that, or really anything that you're doing, if you have a thought about others judging you or, maybe not receiving others' approval, is really what it means, is really taking full responsibility for yourself. And I know personally that the majority of my life, I've not lived from that place. And I know personally that it's affected myself greatly emotionally and physically, and it has affected my ability to be the greatest mom possible, to be the greatest version of myself that I can be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's interesting. It's just, I internalize that as being authentic to you, because we're all unique individuals. Now, I want to say this. I was sitting down with this lovely lady a few years back, and it's always stuck in my mind. And because that's some of the terminology that I use as well, as stepping into your personal power.
Yeah.
Now, for some people, personal power is like, oh, no. Like, no, that word power doesn't sit well with me, because, they probably, have been, I don't want to say the victim, but they've probably been exposed to somebody who maybe abused their power, right? So they have this mental picture of, well, if I step into my if I step into my personal power, that means I need to like overtake somebody. But it's not that, right? It's not aggression. It's not belittling somebody. It's not, I'm better than you or anyone else. But I take that as just pure love. You know, stepping into your personal power is love because it's self-love and it's acknowledging who you are as an individual.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. I completely agree with that. It's really, again, detaching yourself from the stories that we have experienced in our past and really living from a place that's authentic to yourself, that feels good within your body, that feels good within your soul. And so, you know, a lot of the work that I do is really uncovering those attachments to those life experiences that we previously had, you know, that's told us, you know, when we behave this way, or when we do this, or if I do that, then this is what will happen. You know, so it's really to detach ourselves from those stories that make us think a certain way, to have a certain perception that actually, when we have those perceptions or think in that way, it actually doesn't feel good inside of ourselves, because we end up feeling that others' opinions is actually more important than our own. And so we end up changing our behavior, changing our actions or thoughts or perceptions to be more in alignment with other people, so that we get a certain behavior in return, we get a certain action in return, right? If we're looking for some, you know, some approval or something positive reinforcement from someone else, we're not actually being truly authentic from ourselves, and that is going to cause, you know, a feeling of negative emotion inside, because there is a discourse between, you know, you in that moment making your choice and decision, and the actual real authentic you, who's not in alignment with what it is that you're doing in that moment, giving your power, giving your I'm at a loss for words for this word that I'm trying to describe, this feeling inside that you need to get something, you need someone to behave in a certain way in order for yourself to feel good, is not really truly from your authentic self. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So I want you to hold that thought for a second. There's some lovely ladies online that are saying good morning to us. I want to acknowledge them for sure.
Awesome.
So Tabitha says, good morning, beautiful ladies. Good morning, Tabitha.
Hi, Tabitha.
And Tabitha is sharing with us that there is tea in her mug this morning. Is it Tim Hortons tea, Tabitha?
Yay.
And Laurie says, wonderful, you made it. Yes, we were having some technical difficulties this morning and we had to switch up the link, but here we are, we made it live on Facebook. So glad you ladies can tune in.
Hi, Laurie.
I love Laurie. Seems to tune in almost every week. So I really appreciate you ladies tuning in and sharing with us. So yes, you were just talking about, you know, seeking validation from others, right?
Yeah.
And something that I heard Mel Robbins say a couple days ago on a video of hers that I was watching, and she said it just beautifully. She said, "Stop." I wrote it down. I have to look here. She said, "Stop looking for external solutions to internal problems."
Absolutely, Kelly.
Exactly what you're saying, right? So elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Absolutely. And so for myself, really looking talking about people pleasing is an amazing example. And I know, Kelly, that's your expertise in helping people pleasers, get back their life. And so that's really what we're talking about here. When we're looking for permission from other people to take a certain action step, and I know personally for myself, growing up in my home, that is exactly what I did. It was my nature. And also, Kelly, it's really important for us to really know ourselves as deeply as we can, knowing, what type of person am I? And so for myself growing up, I had a younger brother, and, his experience being in the same household was completely different than myself. And so for myself, I always was seeking approval or validation or asking permission from my parents, to do something or to agree with me before I would actually dive in and think, oh yeah, okay, well, my idea was good then because someone else actually agrees with me. And then I realized that over the years, I continued to do that, and how much negative emotion that actually created in myself. Because when I didn't get that validation or when I didn't get that approval, I had the internal dialogue that, I must be wrong. There must be something wrong in my thinking, how, and this happened frequently, where my mother had a different opinion than I did. And I actually really valued and thought her opinion was more important than mine. And so over time, not having this awareness that I do now, it caused a lot of pain inside of myself and a lot of unworthiness feeling, that I wasn't able to do things for my own, even to the point that I didn't even know who I was anymore or what it actually was that I liked. And so it has caused a lot of pain and discomfort in my life. And even once I got married, my husband had a more stronger, dominant personality or energy than I did. And I continued the same pattern with him, asking for his approval or permission, or, looking for validation from him that my ideas were good. And that quickly, again, caused a lot of discomfort and negative emotion. And what I'm finding now is that, I'm going back and I'm clearing these blockages that I had within myself from all these experiences. And I'm really seeing the depths of that effect that it's had on my entire life. And so just to make people aware, that we really need to give ourselves permission to really honor ourselves and our opinions, and that the opinions of other people is really just that, it's opinion. It doesn't have to be your truth. And if it's not, that's totally okay.
Yeah. I know what I have experienced, in my own personal life and even with working with my clients, is that, like I say that I work with people pleasers, and at the beginning of the show, it's like, sensitive soul, heart-centered, because that group of people, if you just want to kind of put people in a group, they are looking for connection, right? That is the ultimate goal, is for connection. And, people who are more dominant, they're more decisive, they're more detail oriented, they're very quick to make decisions. It's often, they seem like, like they've got it all together. Or they, typically in the past, I see that starting to change, but in the past that they've been the leaders, the dominant ones. And therefore, people who are sensitive are emotional, and, that's a weakness. That was my belief system. And, many of my clients have grown up with that belief system as well. And, but it's not, it's a beautiful quality. And once, somebody like yourself, myself, and everybody else who can, relate to being a people pleaser, sensitive soul, or whatnot, when they start to step into their personal power and realize that, oh my gosh, their, perceived weakness is actually their greatest gift, we're really gonna see a turnaround in our world. So it's so important for people to tune into themselves and step into their personal power.
It really is, Kelly, because it has such a great effect on our physical health. And that's been a huge awareness for myself in my journey is, I started with feeling all this discomfort within my body, which has really got my attention, more significantly than even my, being overly sensitive when I was younger and in university. So I really seek support for my physical symptoms, yet at the core of the physical symptoms was really the emotional. So it's really to bring that awareness that, we do really need to go deeper than what's going on with our physical body. Because our physical body, is really a reflection of what's internal. And so this is why I'm so passionate about what I do, because we can uncover what's going on emotionally, what's stored emotionally inside the body, this energy blockage, this energy pattern that we keep just going through. We keep reliving the same pattern. If it's, if it's not with your parents, like myself with my parents or my mother, it was then with my spouse, right? Until I decide and have the awareness that this is really going on, and it feels so uncomfortable for me, whether it's uncomfortable in my physical body and or, very emotional, that, that emotional discord that we're feeling as far as negative emotion, it doesn't feel good inside of our bodies. Really, it drains us, Kelly. It drains us from energy. I felt many times that I had the flu or so bone deep tired. And really all it was that I was in total discord with what was going on with myself emotionally compared to what my true authentic self, is feeling about that same topic.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. Absolutely. Love that. So Laurie has got a message for us. She said, I'm so happy for you that you were able to grab a hold of your confidence and freedom to be you. You're so valued when you surround yourself with like-minded people who cherish your ideas. Absolutely. And that goes for everyone. It's like when you step into your personal power, right? And you give yourself permission to be you, then you're going to naturally start surrounding yourself with like-minded people. Right? And then, that you're just going to grow. Absolutely. So I want to ask you, Cara Dawn, just for the people watching, in case they're kind of confused of, personal power. And I want to ask you, give me some examples of how people give away their personal power.
Yeah. So really, when you think about giving away your personal power, you're really thinking about valuing, and I said this a little bit earlier, but valuing others' opinions more than your own. And so, when we do this, when we continue to do this, seeking approval, validation, permission from other people, it's really impossible for us to be truly happy and successful and or fulfilled in our life, because it's no longer we're no longer in our driver's seat, because we're actually looking for someone else to validate us. So it's not going to happen, because, Kelly, they're not us. They don't have, they don't feel our beliefs. They don't feel our passion for whatever we're passionate about, because they're not us. And so we really have to have that awareness that, it is only us, ourselves, that truly knows what's inside of us. There's no one else that knows those deepest aspects of ourselves, no matter how much we talk to others. And so, we're really talking about conditional or unconditional love or acceptance for ourselves. And so if we're constantly looking for conditions to be a certain way, meaning we really need someone to say something to approve of us, for that particular condition to be met in order for us to feel fulfilled or good with inside of ourselves. And so we really want to disconnect our understanding of conditions needing to be met for us to feel a certain way, and then being unconditional. And so we really can, instead of using conditions and unconditional, look at the terms of, needing attention, or just plain being in a place of love from your deepest self, right? So those are really the two kind of disconnects that I feel, that we might be confused with, or living from that place.
Right. So is love and attention the same thing? So if a person has not experienced true love, they will settle for attention. Is that what you're saying?
Even if it's negative attention, then that other person is fixated on them in whatever manner it is, whether it's positive or negative, they have some attention directed on them, and that makes them feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And so going a little bit deeper, there's something not right within inside of themselves, that they're not okay with, because they are seeking something from outside of themselves. And so, Kelly, then that relationship doesn't become about, the two people in a relationship, but it starts to become all about them. What is it that they need? And how far will they go to get that attention? What is the behaviors that they'll do in order to get that attention? And Kelly, that really never goes in a positive way, right? Like, someone's looking for something from someone else because they're not getting it from inside of themselves. And so, again, that other person cannot give you what you're really looking for because they don't know you. They really don't know you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know Tony Robbins has always said, and this really sticks out, is a relationship is a place you go to give. A relationship is not a place you go to receive, right? And if you go in right, that's love. To me, that's love. I mean, argue with me if I'm wrong, please. Set me straight. It's a place you go to give, and yeah. Anyways, I just lost my train of thought, but that's okay.
Well, yeah. Well, I'll expand on that a little bit more, Kelly. It's really, to allow yourself to disconnect from your stories and actually be in the present moment, every moment that you're actually engaged with someone else, whether that be your spouse or your children or whoever it is that you're in conversation or relationship with. And it's really to be free in every moment to love that person for who they are, and not for what they've done to you in the past, or for not for the behaviors that they've shown you in the past. And also, not for what it is that they can do for you. So there we go, looking for conditions again, to actually really being authentic, being present with that person and just feeling that love or that compassion or that gratefulness for that other person. And then from that feeling, you have that innate feeling to want to do something for them, just to show them your appreciation of them, and not for looking for anything in return. And if they're also in that place, then they're also going to feel that love and gratefulness for yourself. And they're going to want to show you that in whatever way, shape, or form it comes up in that moment for them to want to express that to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Laurie just chimed in with a really interesting comment. She said, I think everyone is longing for acceptance and love. Yes, I would agree with that. Definitely.
Yeah.
We all want to be accepted and loved. And if we have this, then our cup is full and we can give it away to others. But if we don't have it, we feel drained and unfurled to give back to others. Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, we're not in that place. We're not in that place to be able to do that. We don't have the energy, we don't have the drive, because we're still searching for something within inside of ourselves for us to feel better.
Mm-hmm.
It is really draining, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the question is, well, how do we notice when we're doing this? What are the behaviors, so that we're aware of when we're doing this? Because, a lot of our behaviors, Kelly, as you know, are so automatic. Because inside ourselves, we're continuing these same patterns, because either we're not aware of it yet, it's still serving some purpose in our life, whether it's to keep us safe or whatever that is. And, it's different for everyone depending on the journey that you're on. And so really how this can show up is, we tend to blame other people for things that happen in our life, or wanting circumstances to be this way, and that person didn't do it. They didn't, give me the answer I wanted. And so, it's their fault. It's never my fault. It's their fault, right? If only that person could be like this, then I could feel more comfortable around them. or, then I could really love them. I could really open up to them. If, when they come home, they have this wonderful energy, as opposed to being, down or depressed or angry or whatever it is. Right? It's always someone else's fault. So this is kind of the blame game. So this is coming back to playing the role of a victim, Kelly, where I'm the victim. Oh, woe is me. If these conditions would change, then I could be better. Then I could really be me. Then I could really feel and live my life the way I wanted to. And so we're just waiting for other people to change, for conditions to change. Mm-hmm. And so, we hear this a lot.
Because I know that was in the very, very beginning. My question was, how do I motivate someone else to change? Because this girl was perfect.
Yeah. I know, right?
Yeah,
I know.
not so.
And so much for myself too, right? Like, if only, my husband could give me this response, if only he could be supportive of me, if he only could hear me, then things would work out, then I wouldn't have this distance, or then I wouldn't feel like I need to teach him a lesson, or, tell him this is really the way it is, right? And so absolutely, that plays a huge part in, how can we become aware of when we're doing that, of when we're giving our power away to other people and not taking responsibility for our own life, our own happiness, and our own health, for that matter. Mm-hmm. And there's some other ways as well that, what we tend to do is we also tend to justify ourselves. We rationalize, that we're validated in reacting the way we are. We're validated in saying that, yeah, I've been doing all this work on myself, and I've been changing myself, and if only my husband, could do this and do that, or if only my kids could listen to me more, or if only, my boss would give me that raise that I wanted, or if only people could get off the road when I'm trying to get to work, because that would just make my life easier. Right, Kelly? Don't you agree with me? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
We look for, we ask our friend this at the coffee pot at work, like, we're always justifying, looking for other people to agree with us, so that, yeah, we're justified in feeling this way. It makes sense, right? Because so-and-so also agreed with me. And so we just get even deeper disconnected, we're still looking for approval and validation from other people, to validate that we're justified in feeling that the way that we do. And so then we just continue the same pattern, and things are not really changing for us.
So that's a good point. This is a good time to ask you this question. When things are not really changing and you're down the rabbit hole, how can you turn that around and start to step into your own personal power?
Yeah, absolutely. So first is to be aware. So like I said, we need to be aware of our behaviors, of when we're doing, these behaviors and actions and saying these words and these thought patterns. So to notice every time that you're blaming your circumstances or blaming others and justifying, be aware of when you begin to justify and rationalize, you validate the way it is that you're feeling, because this happened, so I'm justified in feeling this way. And also complaining. Complaining is another big one, because when we complain, we're actually focused on what is going wrong. And so we really want to stop this focusing on what is going wrong, because what happens is, with the laws of the universe, what we focus on, we draw more to us. So to be aware of in every moment, are we drawing what we really want through our thoughts, through our behaviors, through our actions, or are we still drawing like crap into our world, right? So awareness is key. Recognize when you're doing this, because Kelly, what we're really trying to do here is we're trying to alleviate the stress of feeling like we're failing in some way, right? Some part of my life is not going the way I want it to. So that's a sense of failure. And so we want to ourselves, we justify, we blame others, we complain. Others are listening, that negative emotion again, others are listening. And so it's really understanding that we feel somehow that we're failing. So if we continue to give this out to the universe, we're going to just keep creating circumstances that are going to continue to validate. And I'm pretty sure that that's not where most people are intending their life to continue to unfold in that manner. And so really be awareness. So I might, a couple of things is, keep a little cue card out in your kitchen or on your mirror, or, wear an elastic band on your wrist. So every time you notice that you're complaining or justifying or blaming, you give yourself a little ding to wake yourself up. I'm doing it again. Or have those 3 words on the cue card, like, recognize, am I blaming? Am I justifying right now? Am I complaining? And kind of an action underneath to remind yourself, so how can I turn this around that feels good for me? So, you could pick a couple of phrases for yourself that you really resonate with. Something like, things are always working out for me. In this moment, I have gratitude for, having a safe home, having food in the kitchen when I go in. Like, just pick a couple of things that you can put your focus on, as opposed to going to the blame or the justifying or the complaining. And so just practice these few phrases. Just practice them in your mind over and over. And then, we want to instill these healthy habits. So it's really changing our programming from what used to become second nature to something that's more empowering for ourselves. So we want those empowering phrases, those empowering thoughts and words that we speak and that we think about ourselves. We want that to become second nature.
Right.
So you could even do an assessment on yourself at the end of the day. How many times, like a reflection, did that old programming come back? How many times did I notice anyway that I was blaming, that I was complaining? And just jot them down. And then over time, as you do this, you will notice that becomes less.
Yeah.
So that becomes an integral part of yourself.
Yeah, I love that idea. As you're talking, I'm thinking of, the old classic swear jar, or the, every time you say, I'm sorry jar, or you could even do, I don't know, you can kind of just do whatever, works for you. Journaling helps a lot of people. Gratitude journal, just journaling, just being able to get thoughts out, especially for visual learners. It helps get the thoughts out on paper. They can see them. And but I got not everyone, but got some comments coming in. So let's see here. We got Laurie. She says, it's so true how we need to step up and be more aware of the changes we need to make in ourselves. Grab a hold of the reins. There's only one person that can change, but in doing so, the environment around us is affected. Yes, it is, Laurie.
Yes.
There's so many people who want change, but they don't want things to change. They want the change, but they don't want the things to change. That is change. You have to be willing to let go and detach from some of those old things. Yes, that's so true.
Yeah.
And Tabitha says, acknowledgement is a powerful step. Yes, because without acknowledgement, you can't move forward, right? If you don't acknowledge your own behaviors, then there is no action to take. I mean, there's nothing to correct if you don't see anything wrong. So if you think there's nothing wrong with your behavior, there is no corrective action to take, because the only person to do it is you. And if you don't see it, no one else can do it for you.
Right. And so I'm just going to add to that.
Please do.
Yeah, just to make it easier for people to understand, like, our emotions is our own guidance system. So that is really the number one thing, the key thing that we need to pay attention to. And really telling us what's going on inside of ourselves. And so you think of emotion, which is just energy in motion. Okay, so we are energy. So constantly we're in a different state of energy depending on our thoughts, depending around us, depending on where we're at any given point in time. And so really pay attention to how it is that you're feeling. What is the emotion that you're feeling inside of your body? Because that is what is telling you if you're in an empowering state or a disempowering state. And so to really understand the premise that when you feel an emotion that doesn't feel good inside the body, okay, so if something feels uncomfortable in your body, you need to pay attention. That's your cue to pay attention to. Oh, ding, 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 there's something going on in here. I'm feeling uncomfortable. What is actually going on? So that's the key point that I really want to stress is, you know, we can talk all day long about when am I complaining? When am I justifying? When am I blaming someone? But actually, even before you get to the awareness that you're actually doing this behavior, you have negative emotion that you're feeling inside of yourself.
Because I was going to say, somebody who's unaware, right? They have that negative emotion and it's quickly pointing the finger out.
Right, because what is it that we do in order to in order not to feel uncomfortable? This is the whole premise. It feels uncomfortable to feel uncomfortable, so what am I going to do to get myself out of that state? So I'm going to point the finger at someone else. It's not my fault, it's someone else. And then I'm going to complain to someone who's going to listen. Why am I justified in feeling negative emotion? And so we're actually like dispersing the uncomfortable feeling as opposed to being in it, and from being in it, getting the learning, getting the teaching. And so we get that from our own selves.
Yes.
And so the feeling the emotion, recognize the emotion is number one before we ever even get to understanding when I'm complaining and so on. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. It makes sense to me, yes.
Yeah. And so when I work with clients, whether it's in a group setting or one-on-one, that is one of the number one things that I explain. It's so important and empowering for us to go inside of ourselves and recognize, what does negative emotion, uncomfortableness feel inside of your body? And actually, where is the location in the body that it shows up? You know, because you're going to feel it more strongly in certain areas. And that uncomfortable feeling is going to show up like a temperature change. You're going to feel really hot inside, or maybe cold, you know, or maybe you're going to feel a real contraction and tightness, you know, or maybe you're going to feel, you know, a tension or an out of breath feeling. And so to become in tune with what that uncomfortable feeling feels inside of your body, so that you can begin to recognize it as soon as it starts to happen, so that you can have your awareness, you know, immediately or very quickly, and then take the learning before you act on that and do something that is going to disempower you, that's, you know, going to spill out to everyone else in your environment, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's amazing. Laurie shared another comment with us. She's got, well, then others can be affected by this as well, and sometimes positive change happens there too. So if I'm to guess, I'm thinking that she's talking about basically when you step into your own personal power and you experience joy and happiness and you feel confident, is that is magnetic, and then you're sending that energy out. So basically, you know, you're filling up your own cup, it's overflowing. So when it starts to overflow with all the good stuff and it's spilling out and it's spilling out to others, and that's how you motivate others to change, is be the best version of yourself. That's what I've learned personally. I know, Cara Dawn, that's what you have learned personally. And now, you know, your cup is overflowing and you are sharing that with others through the work that you do with your energy healing. That's been amazing. I've love having you on the show. I love how, you know, deep in conversation we get, and I just never know where it's going to go.
No.
So I want to ask you, how can people get in touch with you, Cara Dawn?
Well, the easiest way, Kelly, is on my Facebook page, Inner Flow Energy Healing. I put some, amazing posts, some reflections on there that people can read, send me a message. My phone number is on there. My email is on there. And all the events that I do as well are on there. So it's really the best way. And, I'm very quick to respond. And please, I welcome all questions. Anything at all, please send me a message. Please like my Facebook page, and let's start taking responsibility, Kelly, and knowing what that feels inside of our own body, and then we give other people permission then to do the same thing. Mm-hmm. We're really that influencer on others when we're in that alignment with our true authentic self. It gives others permission to also be the same.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So Laurie says too, I think if we look for the good in our lives, we will naturally become more positive and more grateful. Yes, yes, more 1,000 yeses, Laurie. Absolutely. And Tabitha is sending us love. She said, you ladies are amazing. Thank you, Tabitha. You are amazing as well. And
thanks, Tabitha.
Yes, absolutely. That's what it's all about. It's just sharing, right? It's just sharing the message, and like-minded people will come into our circle and make the circle bigger and create more change, and it's amazing. So again, thank you so much, Cara Dawn. I welcome you to leave any links, like a website, Facebook group, whatever you want to share in the comments once we are done the show, so people can easily connect with you. All right. So that's
awesome, Kelly.
Yeah, thank you. So that's episode 33 of the Coffee and Confidence Show, how to step into your personal power. Can't wait to tune in again next week for episode 34. All right, bye guys. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day.
Bye, everyone.